Welcome to the Future Proof podcast. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Jessica Rapach, CEO of Twin Legacy Solutions, an AI company specializing in AI leadership solutions and AI lead generation. Today, I'd like to welcome Mounika, who is a tax principal at Avatar Advisors, who will bring her expertise on today's topic, tax strategy, what small businesses are not thinking about. So, Monica, we're honored to have you here. Thanks for joining us on the Future Proof Leader. I'd love to kick things off with just introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Thank you, Jessica. Great to be speaking, and thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about myself and what we do at Avatar Advisors. So, as you introduced me, I am the tax principal. I am the founder of the tax practice at Avatar Advisors. We are a very boutique tax consulting firm where we are known primarily for our cross-border tax expertise and our expertise in some very niche areas of tax, like mergers and acquisitions tax, post-acquisition integration, IP valuation and structuring, and as you can see, some really very esoteric tax topics, very different from what the most maybe local CPA firms do.
Amazing. Can't wait to hear more about that. All right, let's dive right in. So I want to start off by asking you, what's something that small businesses need to think about as they move into 26?
Considering that I deal with tax strategy day in and day out, and we have a large number of clients that are, early startups and really small size businesses, I often find that tax is more often than not relegated to be once a year-end compliance matter. And I feel this is one area where businesses need to change the way they are thinking and try to think of tax really as a strategic tool that they can use to really help them achieve whatever their strategic objectives are, which could be maybe expanding, scaling, maybe looking at an exit, 2 or 3 years down the line for a startup founder. It could be something as, creative, perhaps, as, monetizing your intangible assets, valuation of intangible assets, and accordingly structuring it. These are topics that are definitely more important for businesses once they mature and, they become really big, because that's when, the CFO really has the budget to go to the big guns, the really big professional tax advisors to get the particular tax advice. But that is one of the things that I think businesses, small businesses particularly, have always had the need for. They've just not thought about it. They've not thought about it because there's nobody out there in the market, helping them understand the value of tax strategy. That is also one of the reasons why I do what I do, helping them truly, realize, all the tools that they have at their fingertips that they should be using in order to compete, grow faster, scale faster, and mature into more successful businesses faster.
Yeah, wow, that's impressive. Yeah, when you think about your business, you think about whatever product you're selling, right? You think about what you can offer as far as just your business. So I love how you're saying that small business can leverage things such as taxes to turn that into a strategy to leverage their business and grow it. That's definitely not something that I think many people do think about. So that's unique. This is, one of the first times I'm hearing about a tax strategy firm. So you hear a lot about tax advisors, CPAs. Every business owner knows you need a CPA, you need a team of tax advisors, but it's not often that you get a tax strategist. So that is a really good point for some people to think about for 2026, how they can leverage a different portion of their business instead of just their product. So that's wonderful what you're doing. The next question I have for you is, what does value mean to tax clients in 2026 compared to, I don't know, 5 years ago?
So when I would like to extend the timeline here and really talk about, maybe not even extend, but really collapse it. And again, this is a question of what is really perceived as value, what has historically been perceived as value, right? I mean, if you are a business owner, which you are, you probably go talk to your, tax consultant, maybe once a year, and the only value you expect from your tax consultant is for the tax consultant to help you save, a bunch of taxes at the end of the year. right? So that is how value has always been perceived as when it comes to a tax professional, providing value. But I think value, the way it should rightly be looked at from a tax perspective, is one where you really you look at your entire tax model. You look at, the way you structure your contracts with your customers. You look at the way you structure your contracts with your vendors. You look at where your people are working, what they are doing. You look at the intangible assets you're creating, where your intangible assets are creating. You look at, how, if you were to sell your business tomorrow, where would your potential buyer expect the maximum value to lie in? And a lot of these elements that I just spoke about have a tax angle to them, right? And for me, truly, that is where the value of tax really should lie in, as an integral part of every business transaction, every facet really, that every facet of your business that you're dealing with. So on the legal side, on the operational side, on the supply chain side, and again on the people side, right, with respect to the responsibilities and
Yeah.
compensation and things like that, there's a tax element that is embedded. So really, for me, the value of tax really is, how to make your business a lot more streamlined and better structured to, at the end of the day, help you either save money, not just tax dollars, but just money in terms of, your operational costs, perhaps. And of course, at the end of the day, when you're ultimately looking at, let's say, winding up your business, selling your business, exiting your business, or helping you get the maximum value and hence the maximum selling price, sales price for your business. And I think that is where the true value of tax lies, because there is a way for you, no matter what your business fact pattern is, what your situation is, what your business model is, there is always a way where we can look at your tax model and see if it is truly aligned to what your objectives are. And that should be the value of tax, and that is how businesses should view tax as.
Wow, I love that. Now I have a question. So my company, we have tax advisors, right? So we were looking into tax strategy, do you partner with company like tax advisors, or does your firm just, if someone isn't even there yet, they're establishing a business, they want to make sure they have a tax team, do they start with you, or are you supplementing that team? Like, can you
Right.
talk
So
about that?
I have a team of tax experts, and all of my tax experts are ex Big Four CPA firm or ex Big Eight CPA firm partners of directors and senior managers, each with close to 2 decades or more than 2 decades of experience, and each of them having expertise in multiple areas of tax, be it expatriate taxation or federal taxation or state, sales, local, international taxation, transfer pricing. And we do this not just in the US, but we have a global network of affiliates spread across more than 20 countries.
Oh, wow.
So the starting point would be, yes, for, to give you an example, I just had a client the other day where the founder is actually this lady from Croatia, and she is going to be starting her second venture in the US. So we are pretty much helping her with everything, right from helping her get her EIN number, which is your tax ID for your corporation, and then helping her with structuring her investments into the US, and figuring out, she's hiring the rest of her C-suite, figuring out, from a tax perspective, what is the best way for her to structure the compensation for these executives. Tax really is involved in every basic step, and even when it comes to the way she's providing services to her customers, there are different tax implications if she's providing services to customers in the US versus services to customers in Europe. Right. So
Yeah.
that's really how we start off, helping them with basic registration, very fundamental planning. And as and when the business really scales up, it grows dynamically, we make sure the tax model is also keeping up accordingly
So somebody can hire your firm from the very beginning,
from the very
and
beginning.
you provide all the tax assistance, but they get a strategy. They get the
Along with
tax along with your service. That's
correct.
amazing. And international. A lot of
Yeah.
our viewers are, their businesses are international and US. So that's good to know that you
Yeah.
do both.
We truly view ourselves as value added partners not just as I was mentioning in the beginning of the conversation, your year-end tax accountant who comes in to help you save a little bit of, to maximize your tax refund.
Yeah. So you're working with the client week after week, making sure that everything's
Yeah.
aligned, where they can scale, where they can shift.
Correct. Yeah. And how they
Yeah.
can do that from a tax efficient manner. Yeah. It may not be the case that tax moves the needle a lot of the times, but particularly when it comes to, few things like, let's say, your intangible assets, right? Let's take, for example, your own business. I would rate a big intangible asset that you have really are your customer relationships, right? I mean, if you have enterprise clients, these are your biggest intangible assets. And if you have any, I don't know, trademarks and things like that for your, let's say solutions, right? They would also be some of your intangibles. So, figuring out where these intangibles are being created, and if you were to sell these intangibles, bundle them all up and sell them tomorrow to a third party, what would the tax implications there be? So that is something we would at least want businesses to start thinking about while they go about scaling.
So you're talking mergers as well, mergers and
It could, yeah. It
could
could
be
be
that.
mergers, or it could just be, you selling a particular part of your business away tomorrow, including the
Yeah.
intangibles associated with that.
Wonderful. Wow. That's, yeah. Cause I know most business owners hire people for this. The taxes are just one of those things like finances. Not everybody has that skill. You can't just,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? There's not, if
Yeah.
you're a business owner, chances are you have some kind of business degree, you have something that's worth selling, but you need a team of professionals in those specific
Right.
areas to help you be successful. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. And your regular CPA who files your individual tax return or a tax return for your S corp or your LLC is typically not somebody who is well versed in tax strategy matters like this, which is really where we, fill the gap in the market.
That's amazing. I'd like to end on a technology question. So, how is technology, AI specifically, changing how tax strategy firms operate, or is it changing how tax strategy operates?
Now, talking about tax strategy, I will limit the relevance of that question again to small sized businesses,
Yeah.
because I think this becomes a lot more relevant for them. What I'm about to say, I mean, technology first and foremost is a fantastic tool. It's a great tool to help you work smarter, to help you work faster, to help you just take better decisions. Period, right? And AI as the latest technological tool helps you do all of that in an unprecedented manner. When it comes to tax as a whole, tax is something that deals with a whole lot of financial data.
Mhm.
So AI models are fantastic when it comes to number crunching, analyzing a whole bunch of facts, and really, doing, the basic processing and maybe the basic fundamental analysis of data, which I think, every, business should be aware of and should try to utilize if that's something that they can. Now, at the same time, they also need to keep in mind that no AI tool out there in the market, at least as of today, can give you a perfect tax solution for your particular business the way a tax strategist like myself, a tax professional, can. Because the reality is that data is still imperfect.
Right.
There are many situations where data is not perfectly aligned to what you are going through as a founder, what your business is going through, and just the dynamic macroeconomic factors that one is having to deal with in today's day and age. So that is where the utility of a professional like myself lies. It is to help plug in the gap where data is not perfectly aligned, and to look at all of the various solutions that perhaps different models that an AI solution has offered, and keeping in mind not just the quantitative but a lot of the qualitative factors, helping a business, helping a CFO or a CEO decide the best tax model to adopt from a holistic perspective. I think that is what businesses should be thinking about when it comes to adoption of technology. Yeah, like I said, it's a great tool. Businesses should absolutely do that, but at the same time, not discount the value of professional judgment that having a strategist brings.
Yes, we're all about leveraging AI. AI can get you to a certain point, but that human element, the 25 plus years of experience on the ground with humans is definitely invaluable. I couldn't agree more. Yes, tax strategy is very, very complex. So even if somebody did create some kind of tool, you need somebody to check, somebody to align it with your business strategy, someone to ensure that it's ethical, if it matches your business model. And every business is unique, like you said. Everybody is not going to have the same response. There's no
Right.
one answer.
Yeah, and more importantly, I think data or AI models, perhaps one day they will reach that stage where they are more human centric, and they really keep in take into account a lot of the qualitative factors as well, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the actual work is done by people
Right.
still, right? I mean, if you look at the technology sphere, right, at the technology industry, you still will have a lot of people who will be coding. And if the tax model says that, oh, it'll be best for you to hire this particular coder in Timbuktu, you may not be able to find that coder in Timbuktu or
Right.
anybody who's willing to move to Timbuktu.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. Well, thanks so much for being a guest on our show today. This has been very informative and very insightful. There's going to be businesses out there that see this podcast, so they're going to wonder, where do we find a tax strategy? Where do we find your firm?
Yeah, for somebody who's just spoken this much about using AI, our business is still very much run, on the basis of really referrals and, the personal reputation of myself and the team of our tax experts. The best way to reach out to us really would be through our email, which I hope you will share on your social media, our website, and of course, LinkedIn. I think that would be the best way to reach out to us. And thank you once again for this fantastic opportunity, Jessica. I know tax strategy can be pretty abstract, but
Yeah.
thank you for helping us get this idea or concept across to your audience.
Oh, no,
It's been
I'm
a joy
sure.
speaking with you.
Thank you so much. And to our listeners, thank you so much for spending your time with us here on the Future Proof Leader. We hope everyone has a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye, everybody.